Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us for this portion of the conference. We're going to be talking about worker shortages with three people who have their fair share of firsthand experience addressing these issues. I have Sean McGarvey, president of the North American Building Trades Union with me, as well as Christopher Griffin, the CEO of the USG Corporation, and Judaline Cassidy, who's founder of something called Tools and Tiaras, an awesome organization that I'm excited for you guys to hear a little bit more about. I'd love to start first off with Chris. Our question for you: even before the pandemic, construction was having its fair share of trouble filling open jobs critical to your business. What are some of the strategies that you've been trying to overcome this worker shortage?
Hey, Eleanor, good afternoon. Thanks for having me. And yeah, you're absolutely right. USG, we've been a leading manufacturer of building materials here in North America for over 120 years. So you would have thought that prior to COVID, we've probably seen everything at some stage. And certainly after we got through the initial, how do we keep our employees and customers safe? It's then how do we keep our operations going so that we can continue to provide the highest quality products like sheetrock wallboard to our customers. And so that's been the challenge. And as everybody on the call knows, working through this pandemic has been hard on everyone. And even before COVID-19, our industry has had huge shortages of labor, especially in skilled trades. And so the pandemic has only made a bad problem worse. But one thing that has been clear during the pandemic, and I think that has been a result of COVID-19, is that it is very clear now that construction is an essential service and an essential industry. And it creates a great number of really high quality, high paying jobs for millions of Americans. And what's great is that even in a period of a pandemic, we are continuing to build across America. You see it in every city, you see it in every town. There are cranes, construction is booming. And I'm so proud of our industry, how we have used safety and innovation to respond and continue not only to survive, but to thrive. But it's not without challenges, right? And the millions of people in construction have been really building and enabling a lot of the essential services that we have needed to respond to COVID, whether it's hospitals, shelters, testing facilities, all of those things that have to be built. Our industry has done that. So what are the things that we're looking at USG? We're thinking about three trends, really. One is around innovation of products. The second is taking advantage of trends that are existing and have been amplified during COVID. And the third is training for our industry. So just real quick, one on innovation products. How do we make things easier and faster for people to work on the job site? That is the guiding principle of all of our innovation at USG. The second is, what are some of those trends? We've seen the trend of panelization and modular accelerate during COVID because it makes sense just to make it faster and more efficient on the job site. So we're going to continue to support that. And lastly, it's around training. We've been around a long time. We're known for people who train our industry, and we've had to digitize all of that. And we have literally trained thousands of our own people and taken advantage of this time to do that digitally. And thousands and tens of thousands of hours of our customers have been trained digitally during COVID. So those are the things that we're trying to do in the short term to respond.
Awesome. Judaline, connecting young people and girls in particular to skilled trade learning opportunities, we know can be a challenge, and yet early exposure is so important. What have you seen that works to get young girls specifically interested in what can be really fantastic career opportunities in industries that are clamoring for talent? And, how does that differ from strategies for adult women?
Well, I would say, first of all, we actually have to put physical tools in girls' hands. And I've found that the girls really respond to that. They love finding out about unions, and they love that we really let girls do plumbing, sheet metal, ironworking, carpentry. We physically put tools in girls' hands. And that empowers them to another degree that they realize, like, wow, I can do anything. And we know that 50% of the girls are valedictorians. So we need to get those girls into the union and into companies, because 50% of them are doing that. And we know that the same thing works with women. So like, for example, Penelope Amaya was one of the girls who actually came to our welding workshop that was held at my plumber's local union 1. That was her very first workshop. And she writes, you can find it on the internet if you search, she pens a beautiful story. She can actually be an author of what it was walking into that union that day and how it changed her life. Now Penelope is enrolled in a CTE school studying engineering, and she continues to be part of Tools and Tiaras. We found the same thing with women. Our women's committee in New York City, we hosted an event where we actually let women install plumbing. We showed them like a faucet, and 6 of those women who came to that event actually are apprentices now. So it really works that we have to put the tools in their hands and support organizations that are actually doing that. If we want to change the mind of girls, their parents, the community, and the country, because listen, we build, we do this. This is what we do every day. And we really, really are the force behind what America is. And I want that to be on the forefront. And that's what I do with girls. And this year at our camp, the girls were really, really concerned about salary. They never asked that before. Every tradeswoman, every person who came on was, what do you make? And they were really impressed by our salaries. So I think just being very open and letting the girls know that, and women know that we want them, and really prove it by our actions will make a big change.
So you just touched on this a little, but is there anything else you want to add for the employers and the educators in the audience about how to get more of a focus on women as a talent pipeline for the trades?
Yeah, definitely. We really need to invest in the schools and also invest in the parents, because we have to, a lot of kids that are from minority communities, a lot of these young men and women don't go on to college because they are the breadwinners. Right? But what if they join apprenticeships? They get to still be a breadwinner and also get another degree working with the unions and companies. So I think really being strategic and saying, if you want to have women who look like me, sound like me, who are an immigrant, who grew up really poor, would never achieve what I've done without being part of a union, why don't you send the enforcements like me? Send me. We change their minds, and they need to see that, because we can say we want you, but are we really showing you we want you? And they need to see more amazing people like me and the amazing men and women in the building trades. And that's one of the ways. And also really target policy. We can't just let guidance counselors think that the only way is college. We have to let them also show that the trades is the next best way. That's what I believe. So it's just unbiased. It's a biased opinion because I love being a plumber. I've been in these 2 committed relationships my whole life, plumbing and coffee. So I really love that.
Sean, your organization, the North America Building Trades Union, has also contributed to recruit more women in the trades, as well as veterans, young people using apprenticeships. So you recognize the need to find more pathways into the industry. From your perspective, what are some additional ways that unions and the business community can partner with one another to connect talent to careers?
Well, thank you. And thank you for the panelists I get the pleasure of participating with. And I would say first and foremost, you get Judaline out there, okay, to show them what can be done and how it can be done. Because we've recognized in order to deal with the demographics of the construction industry, the unionized construction industry, we have to work a little harder to attract people into the trades. We put a special emphasis, and Judaline's been there for Trade Women's Build Nations, which is an annual big conference that all the women trades folks from around North America gather. We sponsor it. They have workshops. They bring in the newest apprentices to to retired women who spent 40 years in the craft, and show them what can be possible. Now, we think there's some fantastic opportunities right now to ramp up. I actually had a board meeting this morning. We're working on a program with our National Women's Committee because one of the big inhibitors, not just for women, but predominantly for women, is childcare. And in the construction industry, there could be a concrete pour, that you can't leave while that concrete's being poured and finished. There could be trucks of gypsum that need to be unloaded, and you've got a certain time. And you've also got the restraints on the childcare facility where you've got to pick your child up by 5 o'clock. So my governing board approved us to go forward with the Women's Committee. We're trying to put together a couple pilots for the construction industry, unionized construction industry, where we're going to operate our own childcare centers, which should hopefully combine with the Biden administration and Speaker Pelosi and Leader Schumer emphasis on the child tax credit, give them some resources with something that's really unaffordable right now, childcare, quality childcare. Combine that with what we'll put together with our partners in the development, manufacturers, and others to see if we can indeed tap into this great untapped resource of women who are fantastic journey people and mechanics in their trades, and really ramp up our recruitment on the women's side. That's something we have to do in conjunction with our partners and the contractors, developers, owners, buyers of construction services. And on top of that, really figure out by listening to women what accommodations are needed on a construction site to make them comfortable so that they feel safe and productive. We do a lot of training in our training schools now about sexual harassment and behavior for all people, but specifically men, to make sure it's a welcoming environment, good mentorship, and these folks that we bring in through apprenticeship readiness programs, when they get through that registered apprenticeship system in the building trades, they learn skill sets that last a lifetime. So we are really ramping that up, working with partners, and we've got fantastic partners out there. Some of the member companies of the chamber are really, really working hard with us to figure out the ways to make it a success and to move more folks through opportunity and training into the middle class in the construction industry.
Well, that's a nice segue to my next question, which is actually for all three of you. How can the public and private sectors and the nonprofit community work collaboratively and effectively to tackle this challenge in the present and to prepare for future workforce needs? Chris, let's start with you. What are your thoughts on how all of these pieces fit together?
Yeah, Eleanor, I could not agree with my colleagues on the call here more, honestly. We need to get tools into people's hands earlier. I'm a great example, and I meet examples like myself every day of people who've had careers. I started hanging sheetrock, and I'm now CEO of a multinational company, right? But I meet people that have had wonderful lives and careers every day, starting in the trades. And in my day, and I don't want to date myself, but in my day, every high school had vocational wood shop, auto, all of those, trade schools within the programs. And, we want to work at grassroots to make sure that kids have a chance earlier in life to get the tools in their hands, because I agree with Judaline, that's key. And then secondly, I think we need to continue to support programs that are successful. We don't need to reinvent the wheel here. We've got two great examples on the call today of programs that train people. How do we help them expand their capacity, expand their geographic reach, so that we can get even more people into the trades? The entire economy depends on this.
And Judaline, what have you learned in your experience that can shed some insight on how we can all collaborate to address this?
Yeah, we definitely, I'm telling you, it started young. It was like a light bulb that went out in my head. And I know I'm going to scare some people on the call, but I teach 6-year-old girls to solder, to weld, to teach them about their cars, and they get excited and they say, I didn't know I have this option. We teach girls every workshop that jobs don't have genders. And that's what the building trades is. And I think we can support more women to come in and stay by some of the things Mr. Garvey spoke about. We really need childcare. A lot of the mothers actually come and then they become interested in the trades and wanting to do it when they find out. And I mean, like he said, I started off in trade school in Trinidad and Tobago doing plumbing. But when I came here, I was a housekeeper and I was a nanny. And the union changed that for me. And that's what we need to do, because we have 51% of the population. We need to get them these jobs. And also by getting them these jobs, they are changing communities. They are changing people's lives. Like, who would have thought? The guy who helped me get into the union, he never knew that I would then do what I'm doing right now, being so passionate about the trades. And I think we are the most awesome people in the world. That's just me. And I want little boys and girls to grow up that. But we need to support the trade schools. In New York City, I've gone to a lot of them, and a lot of them need help from corporate and from the unions to get better equipment. There was a plumbing program that was going to be canceled, and I had to get guerrilla, like union, go into the, making people email the school and teachers and the governors, everybody else, to save that plumbing program. And it was saved, but the students didn't have the good equipment to work with. Supply House stepped in and they got help. But that's what we need to do. Let's go back into school. Make these kids realize that the trades is exciting. We are moving forward with technology, and come and join us, because what we're doing really makes a difference, that they can have a skill. They can move anywhere in the world and always have a job. And like I say to people all the time, you're going to need a plumber before you need a lawyer. I'm just saying.
Sean, I know that you touched on this a little bit, but is there anything you want to add about how the public-private unions can all work together to address this and future problems?
Yeah, it really does take a village, as somebody once said. A tripartite approach to this. We work with some fantastic companies, lots of fantastic companies, and excuse me, to name a few. Southern Company down in Georgia. We work with Waynesboro County government and the unions, our unions in Georgia, with the owner and Bechtel Construction, to put together apprenticeship readiness programs so that people who lived in that community, who hadn't had a lot of opportunity through that investment that the owner was making, could be trained on the job while the job was going on, and in our schools. And many of them, hundreds have graduated and are full journey people now. We're doing the same thing up in Beaver County, Pennsylvania with Shell on a big project we're building up there. Local governments want to create opportunity for their citizens. You've got good corporate citizens that want to raise as many boats as they can with their investments. And we in the trades have the infrastructure in place. 1,600 training centers across the United States. We spend $2 billion of our own dollars every year on our training. We just need jobs connected to the training, because we're not going to train anybody, for jobs that don't exist. That lots of people have been through that for generations. We won't do that. When there's jobs connected, where the owner makes a commitment on labor strategy, the contractor works with us, we work with the community, and we prerequisite numbers of people to get in registered apprenticeship through that investment. And the other thing that is pretty unique about the building trades, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. It doesn't matter if you're old or young. It doesn't matter if you're tall or small. There's no gender pay gap here. Everybody makes the same. When you're a journey person, you're a journey person. No matter what your gender, everybody gets paid the same. And most times it's a pretty comfortable middle-class lifestyle when we do it right.
All right, team, we got about less than 2 minutes left here. And I have one more question that, as a labor policy reporter, I'd be remiss to not ask you. What role does the government have to play here? I mean, the Biden administration proposed spending about $100 billion in job training as part of Democrats' reconciliation package. How would this money be best spent? And Chris, let's start with you.
I want to go back to what Sean was just talking about. I think it's best spent supporting programs that are already existing. We need to expand capacity, expand the connection between the jobs and the people that are already doing a great job. I don't think we need to recreate a bureaucracy that doesn't exist today. We've got the fundamentals in place, and you've got two examples here on the call.
And Judaline, what about you? What are your thoughts on, what those funds could go to?
I'm with my brothers in this. We already have amazing organizations like the National Building Trades already doing this that works. It's been proven to work, it works, and support nonprofit organizations that are doing that, encouraging young men and women to join the trades. That's where it should go, and they should pass it because it's important. That's what I believe. That's my own belief.
And Sean, what about you?
Yeah, I think two things. I think the expansion of registered apprenticeship, where the predominant construction is predominant in registered apprenticeship. We're 51% of it, our programs, the Pentagon, 24% of it. The rest is made up from all the other different industries. Expand it because it's a model that has worked, and then support those community groups, those tripartite organizations that are trying to put together programs to introduce people into these careers and then get into these training programs.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a thought-provoking discussion. My name is Eleanor Mueller. I'm a labor reporter for Politico, and I look forward to seeing you all hopefully in person sometime soon. Have a great rest of your Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you.